Good morning, happy Wednesday. Hello, Physics, and hello, Lord Mizd. How are you doing today? I know it's still like 4 minutes early, but I actually got everything done and set up ahead of time. My wife did help me with the tea. So I do have my tea brewing. And apparently leaking, so that's cool. But yeah, how are you all doing today? Let's see, what are we working on today? All right, the query. So right now we need a way to be able to query our data to get the appropriate rows out of it, to get the vectors out. And that's our problem right now. So what we really want to be able to do is create a create this. Great at work, new game. Ooh, awesome. Physics, I can't remember. Do you work for a game company? Like, are you making a game? Let's see. Okay, so if instead we do, okay, so let's actually figure out what we want to do. Yes, mobile ultra casual games. Oh, interesting. That actually sounds fun. So I'm gonna comment those out. We clearly need to create a new a query that goes in with the data. So I'm gonna create a query.rs, and inside of here, all right, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna have a pub struct query. My thought on this is it's just going to have a vector of the type IDs. So we could just call these like the type IDs. Now, I don't know if I want to call it the type IDs because that's what they're named after. So maybe these should be like data keys. That's what we're caring about, is that they're data keys. We don't really care about them here. However, they are, it's going to be a vec of type IDs. Physics, for the games that you make, do you find them fun? Like, do you play them as well, or are you mostly just making them? Okay, so for this test, what I want to do is I want to just like create the query. So okay, so once we're creating the query, let's do this. Let mute query equals query new. All right, so now we need to come up and import that. And we're gonna have data keys, and that's gonna provide, it's just gonna be an empty vector. Okay, so that should make that happy here. We could also drive default, because that's, I believe, what this is going to be yelling at me at. Oh, field doesn't have a red. That's what it is. And new is never read. Fine. Let's see, what else? Once we have the query, we want to tell it to go with a type, and then that type's ID should be added to this vector. And that's what we really care about. And that's how this query is really going to work. Probably some kind of getter also. You're mostly only making their games to be played at 5 minute, like those 5 minute at a time games, and filled by ads by default, not your jam. The young nephews enjoy them though. Oh yeah, I've seen some of those. Like there's some of those games are really good. Like I like some of the puzzle games are really great for that kind of thing. But then there's all the I think the one that I just really can't get into is the idle, not all idle games, but the ones where like they just play themselves and then they just try to get you to pay money to like increase the speed of it. And it was like, I'm already not doing anything. Why do I need to not do anything faster? But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I'm actually curious of, like, because like you're in the game industry. What are your thoughts on like Apple's new, what is it, the arcade thing, where you have to like provide your game without any of the in-app purchases, I think. You have to provide like the full game experience. But then you pay Apple a fee, and then they supposedly pay the companies like part of that fee too. I think that's good for the game industry from a consumer side, because I think it's going to encourage less of that. All right, so once we have this, okay, so then what's the next thing? I want to basically do this like do this builder pattern. So I create the new, and I actually want to now say like with type, give it a type, so something like an F32, like that. So what would that look like? So pub function with type. We know that this is going to take some kind of type. It is perfectly legal to have word generics. It just has to start with a capital. Oh, right. Dot. Going back and forth. Yeah, going back and forth between all the different languages is kind of fun. We're not into Apple Arcade yet. I feel like it's a lot of effort to be only on iOS. We're aiming 2-hit games per year. I think Apple Arcade aims for more polished games. Yeah, I would guess that they're aiming for polished games right now. It's like a premium service. But 2-hit games per year, I mean, for to me, that's like a pretty lofty goal and pretty awesome if you're able to get that. Okay, so with type, now I don't know if I care about reducing the scope of this type. So let's just try this. Nothing's gonna come in here. How to, I guess, okay. Then, if I don't, I'm gonna return. Let's say I don't return anything. If I just do this. No method with type found for struct query in the current scope. Oh, they're right. They must have a self. Got it. Oops, forgot that too. Between yesterday and today. That's cool. All right. So we have this. The idea is now I want to, I don't even need to build this. We could just say like with type, and then just end, like it ends, it's done. And we can then do a test. So the expected result is going to be a vec of let's just say like 42.0 f32 dot what is it, type ID that, and then we can assert equal, this is going to be our query dot data keys is going to be equal to the expected result. No field data keys. Also, you probably don't need to be mutable. Oh, right. Okay, so you didn't, we need you to make sure you return the appropriate thing. We should probably just take ownership during this entire thing, so that you are self and you return a self. So we're gonna return self. Be Carrick. Hello. Yeah, I don't have an ECS command. Oh, that might be a good one to add in. What is ECS? ECS stands for Entity Component System. It's a sort of data structure and algorithms. I'll get to that in a second. It's like a data structure with some algorithms in it that are mostly for like game dev, for storing your data in a very specific format or like memory safe type. Although I was looking at Wikipedia, it really doesn't seem to care too much. There's a lot of like there's no standard for ECS apparently. So let me entity component system. So according to Wikipedia, entity component systems, it's an architectural pattern. And the characteristics is that you have your data completely separated from the entities themselves. So instead of like creating like a class where I have like, oh, a class character and it has a location and it has something else, I might, for example, have a bunch of vectors or arrays that have like, okay, all the locations, in one vector or array, all of the velocities in another vector or array, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a couple benefits to ECS systems. One of them is like it might allow for a lot easier manipulation of different data as you like, if you have like a lot of things that need to like interact with each other. Like I'm making a flocking system. I'm making this so I can make a flocking system. It also can be faster if done correctly. I don't know if I'm going to do mine correctly though. That's also like I'm learning this stuff, so probably not. All right, now Lord Mist. Yeah, I could. So we could take mute self and return a mute self. So if I do that, yeah, okay, so we got a problem now that I can't do builder pattern like this. unless I created like a builder, like a I could do like a query builder. I could create like I could actually do something like this. Do a hub struct query builder. Would this work? Struct. And so if I have like the same data keys, oh, this would have the query like that in it. So then I would want a query builder new. And the question is like, could I do with type in here? Because you're going to return, if I want a build in the end of this. Looks like some builder patterns also take ownership of self. You know, I wonder if it's like, because this is like a super simple basic builder pattern. I wonder if it's because I'm doing it this way without two structs. If I just use a single struct, I think I have to take ownership. But if it's not a bad practice, then I'll be happy to stay with just query. No need to add extra code if it's not needed. Just take you. Clap does it like that. I wonder who else does it like that. I wonder, are there any like official or community accepted Rust design patterns books yet? I know that there's like a bunch of design patterns that have like been converted over to Rust or invented for Rust. Like builder pattern is not a Rust builder thing. It's actually like an object oriented one of the Gang of Fours, but has been adapted for Rust and accepted like quite heavily. But I wonder if there's like any, oh, this is the best way to do it, and here's like some patterns for it. And I wonder which, like if there's like one or two that's been accepted by the community of like, this is the one that we agree with. Okay, so if we take self. Okay, we're happy again. Here you go. It returns a query here. So with type, now we expect, okay, so if I run this, it should get a failure because we're not actually updating the data keys yet. So let me go ahead and run this test. Here we go. Left does not equal right. Perfect. So then in here, what we want to do is we want to now get the type ID of this type and stuff it into this data keys. So it's going to be self.datakeys.push type ID. How does that work? Type ID. Do you have any, okay, examples here? Let's see, a string, oh, type ID of, okay. It's type ID of. So we do type ID of type and then we call it. So of, then we give it a type. The type is going to be this generic type. and then we call it as a function. And there we go. So we push the results of this inside of here. Now, what are you caring about? The parameter type may not live long enough. Set the type. Oh, okay. Do I need to throw you in a variable? Let type ID equals you. How about that? The parameter type may not live long enough so that the type will meet its required lifetime bounds. Consider adding an explicit lifetime bound. I know, calling the type instead of T is pretty unusual. I know. It can be that. I guess I do need to tell it. I need to give it a bound, like a restriction, that it implements static at the very least. So if I do that, then I'm gonna push in the type ID. You need to be mutable. And then we return self. Okay, so basically get the type ID, push it into data keys, then return the self. And that gives us this query here, and this test should now pass. There we go. So that means we should now be able to come back to data here and do this. So we should be able to say, okay, let our query equals, and we have the entity that we insert. Okay, we insert the entity. We have the type ID of this entity. So I don't actually know if we need that. But we want to give it the query to know what to do. Okay, so we're going to say query equals query new dot with type. In this case, it's going to be a I32. And that's it. We have a query here. Now I want to be able to query out. So let result equals data dot query and hand it the query. Okay, so you're yelling at me because you don't exist yet. Oh no, you're yelling at me because it's not set up correctly yet. So we're not going to take in any of this nonsense. Instead, we're taking in self and then a query, which is a type query. And now we can debug what the query is, but we kind of know what it is too. We know that there's just a bunch of type IDs. So that's fine. Then, okay, so we have the result coming back. What I want to have is the expected results. So we can manually get this out of the data and then like test them together. Would that make the most sense? Maybe? Because getting this in downcasting is kind of a pain. Oh, but it's an RC, so it works. We could just clone and do the other thing. So we can do the exact same thing that we do here. We can get let expected result equals, and that's going to be this. Okay, so we're going to do data to data. We're going to pass in this this type ID of what we threw in there. Do this fun unwrap, clone downcast to an I32 and unwrap that, and we get our expected result So that gives us like the first thing. We've only added in one, so that should be fine. Then, so I guess this is singular. So what I expect to then be able to do is assert equal results. So I think that you are going to be get the type ID. Do we know what it is at this point in time? I don't know. If I could just do results of position 0 is equal to expected result. I don't think this is gonna work, but it's a good start. Yeah, now it's saying like, hey, you're not the right thing. So back to the query. You're gonna return a vec of, and it's not even gonna vec. We're gonna return a reference to a vec of this. So RC dine any. All right. Let's get what we care about for this query. Oh, I wonder if I want to make this a, because I'm not just like querying one thing, I'm querying like a whole bunch of things. Do I want to return this as like a vector of vectors? Or do I want to return this as like, I've seen like a lot of other ECS libraries, they use tuples for the queries. Or a hash map. Like there's a couple different ways I can go about this. Right now, it's sort of like assuming that I'm only ever going to query for like a single thing. So if I write it exactly as I have right here, I'm just returning whatever is in here. So that, what would that be? That would be self.data.get then like the first item from query, if there is one, but we kind of know what that is. I think we need to change how we're expecting this out. Because what if I'm expecting 2 of these? What would that end up looking like? So query for multiple data. So we have data, we have entity 1, which is this I32. That entity 2 can be something like, I don't know, how about 64 F32. I don't think I really need to do the type ID separately there. It's really easy to get this again. Okay, so data insert, we insert entity 1. And then we're going to insert entity 2. Then I want to query, so create a query. So with type I32, and then with type F32. Okay, so that gives us our query here. Then the results. Now this is where we have like multiple things. So we have to think about how I want this to like come back. most of the ECS libraries seem to have it where I can loop through them specifically. I can do the loop here. I wonder if that would make sense. So I wonder if that means I need like a special iterator. Maybe not. Because also we don't know what the oh, let's have them come back as like maybe a tuple, which is going to be the same order that these come in. So I should be able to destructure this now. Actually, I should be able to destructure it at this point in time. So, oh wait, no, this is the query. This is the query. Never mind. Hold on. Okay, destructuring time. I want to extract out the I32 types. So this is the first entities, and then the second entities equals, I may have to tell it what type it is here. We'll see. Then we're gonna do data.query and pass it in the query. So yeah, you're unknown and unknown. I want you to be the first entity. Okay, I want you to be this type and you to be this type. So what does that look like here? We're going to return a tuple of, well, no, okay, we shouldn't return a tuple because I don't know what size it is, and tuple needs to be sized. So we can make this a little bit easier on me if I just do this as a vector. So this should be like entities should be a vec of something. So you're going to be a vector of all of the queries. So you're going to be a vector of vectors, which this has an RC, which in has dime any. And then here, I think that's right. So we can start by saying, okay, let mute results equals a new vector. We're going to return results. That'll make you happy right away. Then we do the query. Which means that we need to loop through this query and then get everything and stuff it into the results. Oh, and you're going to be a reference at this point, I'm pretty sure. So let's just do like a standard loop first. I might be able to get away with a map. I wonder if I could do that. What if I could do let results? What if I could do this? Query dot we need some method to get the vector out of it. So let's add a new one. function, this is going to be like get keys, get data keys. All right, so let's do a with type F32. We can also do another one. An I32. Then result, so we could call this just the data keys. Equals query.get data keys. I mean, I could also reach in and get the data keys out also. I could just make that public. You know, be the worst of ideas. Means I don't have to write any of that code. Just make you public. Okay, so query dot data keys dot iter dot map. We have a data key, which is that reference to a type ID. And then I want to return like getting the data. So it's going to be self dot data dot get. We handed the key, which is the data key. It already needs to be a reference, which is that is there. And that gives me, okay, that gives me an option now. So that's I guess that's a problem. I want a map filter, don't I? A filter map. Like this. And then I guess I want to collect it at the end. That seems to have worked. Okay, so now I have these entities after this query, which is a vector of the data. So I now have like multiple lines that I've gotten. So multiple rows essentially of just raw data. I could loop through them. And downcast? It's probably what I need to do is loop through them and downcast. So if I do for entity in entities, now I have this vector. So this is now like for each entity's worth of data. And this is probably not right. It's probably not like the entities. It's some like, just like I've got the row of datas. So I've got like a list of datas, and now I have like all locations, for example. I probably want to extract that out to make it a little bit more simple, especially if I'm using this like these tests as documentation. So if we have like entity 1, entity 2, so this is going to be that entity 1 data is equal to entities of 0. Not super happy with this. It doesn't seem to be a good way to destructure the data out of here. Which is one of the nice things about using a tuple, but also one of the negative things about using a tuple is like there's a lot more code on the library side that I'd have to write for it. Also, you're yelling at me now. Oh, right, because you're this other query. I may not even use that. Okay, so we now have each of these specific entity datas. Do I need like the length? Possibly. If I want these both to have like the same length. Especially if like these are locations and velocities, for example. What I really want to see is that the first one of these. So if I do entities 1, now we get this out. So of this position 0, we clone you, we downcast, you should be I32. And then we unwrap. And you should be a F32. Then I should be able to do some asserts. So assert equal that entity 1 is the same as entity 1 data. Assert equal entity 2 is the same as entity 2 data. So we should have successfully gotten it out. Can I destructure you to get you out? Yes. No? Oh, strict comparison to floats. All right, we know how to deal with that. We can tell and add you. This is going to be an allow. All right. So if I run this test, it passed. Okay. So I have the ability to query now. Now, I am really hesitant to say that this is how I'm going to keep query. I think as we actually try to, and this is the reason why I have this flocking rest, like immediately right here, because I don't know if I'm gonna like this at all, and I may have to like immediately change it for like just better experience. So if we throw in, we have the locations here. So we throw in a location of a single bird, and I inserted the entity into the world, which goes into the data. In the draw loop, and this is actually going to be like a draw system, right? So I want systems. So in the systems, I want a pub function. I don't think I need, like most of these, I don't think they need to be like just full like structures. I'm basing this off of hex, which is like a super simple ECS system. Although like mine is, you know, makes hex looks much more complicated. they're just going to be simple functions for systems. This is going to be the draw system. What are we caring about? We care that this, we need the world. We only need a reference to the world at this point in time. Oh, we need a context. And we need to return a game result. So what I'm gonna do is loop through. Oh, okay, we need to query for the locations. We need to query for the locations. So let locations. And in reality, this is going to be like the result of the query. So it's going to be equal to world dot. Oh, we need to build the query too. So we need to add the query into the world so we can get that out. That's fun. So here's our world. We need to add you in here. I probably don't need a test for this because it's really just gonna be just forwarding on everything. So if we have hub function query, then we're gonna take in a type, which is gonna be here. So T, which is just static. We know we're going to return a query. No, we're going to return the actual stuff that we cared about, right? Oh, no. Hold on. I need to just forward through. So I need to pub mod this. Then I can create the query myself to create the query. And query just going to forward through to data. So pub function query. This is going to take in a query, which is a type query. And we're going to return whatever this is. I should probably custom type this to make it a little bit easier. And so we're going to say self.data.query and hand it the query and return the result of that. All right. Back to here. So result.query. All right, so we need an actual new query here. So we're going to do import you, query new, dot with type. In this case, we care about a location. And that's it. We get our query out. Now this is lovely. I need to extract this out. So let locations is equal to results of 0. Okay. That gives me a vector of all the results. I don't think there's yet a time that I can tell it what this any type is, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I'm gonna have to like downcast it at some point in this code, which sucks. I wonder if there's some. I wonder if there, like in data, I can have, or something else, like maybe in query, or even another data structure that I can create that will wrap around this, that does the downcast for us. Maybe, or maybe the world could do that based upon like what we're putting in. That being said, let's not worry about it too much right now. Worrying about this is a later problem. Later certainly won't come right now, will it? Okay, so we have our locations. Now I want to loop through all of our locations, and we're going to draw the bird where it is. Now in this case, what we're drawing here is this bird mesh. So we want to pass in the mesh that we care about here. And then we're going to do a graphics draw. Okay, give it a context. Give it the drawable. And then give it a draw param. Default. We're going to set the destination to B. Well, okay, we can't do this yet. We have to loop through all these locations. So for location in locations. Location? Back here. Okay, I'm gonna have to downcast this at some point in time because I don't think I can tell it what type this is. But I can clone it when I do that, so it makes it easy. Okay, so location. We want to be able to do this draw. In order to do this draw, question mark you, I'll do like an okay like that. We need to extract the specific location out. So that we can shadow this. We can just do like our location is equal to location dot clone dot downcast to type location like that. We could probably do this as like an if let sum location is equal to this. Then once we have you, we graphics draw. Oh, not sum. Okay. Then our destination is going to have a location.x and a location.y. You are private. Well, I mean, that seems to work. So then if we come back to our main library, instead of this graphics draw here, we're going to do a systems draw system, pass in reference to self dot world, the context, and a reference to self dot bird mesh, and question mark that. I mean, there's no errors, so I mean, it's guaranteed to work, right? It's Rust. It will always work if it doesn't have errors. You can see my confidence super high right now. All right, let's head into Flocking Rust. Cargo run. And it worked. Okay, so our bird here, which is just a plain circle right now, it moved from this top left corner over to here. So this is pretty cool. What this means to us is I could create a second bird very easily. Togglebit rating with a party of 89. Welcome, 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 Togglebit. It's been a while, mostly because I haven't been here, but thank you so much for the raid. I know you have to go, so I hope that you had a great stream, and you have a great rest of your day at school. All right, well, because it's a raid and we've already got the play the streamer game, let's go and play the streamer, get the streamer game. Cargo run, release. This is the fun game we like to play whenever we get raided. So it's a great way for me to welcome you all and also like check chat while also trying to avoid all the things that you're sending at me. I just ran this the other day. Why are you compiling again? Did I like update something? I probably did. All right. How's everybody doing? We're gonna play this game through dropping all these things that we show on the right. Hello, Nipsey. All right, we'll see if I've improved since the last 2 times I've done this. Oh, it's hash. There, you got it. Now, there's a bunch of you in here, so I'm gonna be in for run for my money. Oh, come on. Who made these hitboxes? Oh, thank you for the heart. Oh, nope, stop. Ah! It's I was getting cocky because like earlier on there was so few people in stream when we played. Want to play again? Yeah, we can play one more time. That was a pretty short game. So we'll do one more. The game holds no prisoners that you died so quickly. Yeah, I know. And I have that as like a array that I could easily add to. So it's one of those things where like if any of you have any ideas to like just make fun of myself, or you all, in case I win. I have to survive for 2 minutes though to win. Just a fairly big ask. Okay, I got the heart. Oh, wow. Okay, my computer is not happy with this. Oh. That was, my computer previously was handling this pretty well, but it did not like that at all. Now it is, it's not properly optimized, so that may be something we need to do for like a follow-up, like version 2, is remake it and optimize the heck out of it. But all right. Release build. It's the release build. It is the release build. No, I think the problem is I'm reloading those images every single time instead of reusing the same image over and over again. So if there are too many in one screen all at once, I think there's a little bit of a loading time as it loads the image from memory many times, which is not optimal. All right, so what I am doing is I am building an ECS library for myself so that I can use in my own games and simulations. I'm building this for like a flocking simulation that I'm doing first, and control of copy and code base and optimize away. Yes. I'm doing this because I want to learn a little bit more about how ECS systems work, at least like the super simple ones, and it will also improve my REST skills. Silly question, what is an ECS? That's not silly. I actually was answering that a little bit before. Oh, you're right. It is probably because I'm not running Arch. Like that's the only reason that it's lagging. It couldn't possibly be my code. Like it couldn't ever be that. It has to be the operating system. All right, so ECS systems. This is the Wikipedia entry for that. I'll put a code in here. I shouldn't go to Arch because if I did and then it still lagged, that would just like destroy the universe, right? The idea is that we want to break down game like entities, like game things, objects into their base components and store them separately. That will make it a little bit easier to do functional programming on it. It could potentially make it better for performance wise. I'm guessing I'm not going to do that properly. There is no bad code. There's only Arch and not Arch. And you're not using Arch. Okay, so the idea is that I can have like a vector. If you're familiar, well, you're coming from ToggleBit, so you know you probably all know Rust. I have a vector of like locations, for example, and another vector for all of the velocities, and maybe another vector for all of the sizes. And then what I can do is like loop through and say, okay, a vertical slice for all of the like the locations, and then print that out. I'm actually doing that right now. So right before you all joined us, I successfully did a query. Now this is a little bit ugly because, you know, home built. What is Rust? You only knew hello world and HTML headers? Well, yeah, this is totally just like HTML. Yeah. Okay, so I query for all my locations out of the world. This is just a little bit like, you know, a little bit ugly. I can loop through those locations, and then I'm gonna draw out all of my birds. And a flocking simulation is a pretty famous simulation that's pretty well documented. It's basically the idea of how birds flock together when they're flying. I don't have any like the rules set up for that. It's sort of like similar to Game of Life where there's like very specific rules to follow. So that's what we're going to be doing. Why is the red drop scanning? That is the drop game, which I believe I saw Chantilly just do the drop for. And yeah, it's basically we added the scanning because it makes it harder. I know that like some people have like the drop games where you can't actually see where it's going to drop from. And so I added that in there so you can try to predict based upon the lag. I guess it's also a lag check too. All right, so what I've done is I've added in a single location here. I can now add in a second location. I can actually do this just straight up in here. I can do world.insert entity. This is going to be a completely new one. So vec. I'm going to do a location new. And where do I want to put this? Let's put this at like 200.0, 200.0. Just by making that one change, I can rerun this. Well, that didn't do what I was hoping to. Oh, my bot is back up again. It was not working for a second. Oh, it's the other bot. I have multiple bots. I can't remember which. Hey, Zilby. Zilby is our mascot, and in the kitty cat that we have, he's around 6 to 7 months old or so. He was born sometime in the summer, and he likes to hang out with me sometimes during the streams. I have a kitty cam, but today it wasn't working. Okay, so I need to figure out why did this do that? When I added in another location, did I only get one of these? Did like 2 happen? Let's find out. So in this system, I'm querying all the locations here. Oh, Tommy Luco, I have a really cool job with a purpose. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it is a lot of fun to work at like a health company that actually is. We're in that state still where we care about the actual mission, all the way up to like the CTO and the investors, which is really good. And I'm really happy with that. All right. So I'm getting, oh wait. No, okay, so here's all the locations. We're getting them out of these results. We're looping through these. I'm curious about how many times we're looping through these. I'm guessing we're only doing one draw, and I've somehow, when I insert, overwriting the previous vector. Thank you, Zilby. He likes to pair programming every once in a while. So let's just do a debug here. And we could just take a look at location. Let's do it right here. And I'll need to do that. My guess is it's just gonna be once because I think my insert is incorrect. Oh, you know what? It would also help if I wasn't in the loop doing that. Let's just panic. We'll just run one loop through. There we go. Panic like that. It is only in here once. That means our insert is incorrect. So when I went to insert into the world, insert entity, we tell it to insert into the data. We go into data, insert. We'll take a look at this. we don't check to make sure that there's something in there already, it just blows away whatever in there and resets it. So you don't need you. What I want to do is update this so we can insert multiple things and get something else out. So let's do another test here. Test function insert multiple data. All right, so let mute data equals data new. Then the data that we can insert ends like I want to insert the same thing over and over again. So our entity data is, I think it's like called a component. Let's just do like component is equal to 32. Then we're going to insert this in. So data dot insert component. Let's actually make this component 1, and we're also going to get a component 2. This could be 42. Then I want to data dot insert component 2. Now, if I get this out, I expect to have a vector of size 2. Oh, Togglebit told you that you need to start coding in Rust? I mean, well, if he told you, then it's obviously true. Okay, so I should now be able to get this data back out again and test to see that there's 2 things in this vector. Just drop everything else and write Rust. I mean, this is the perfect time to not tell your boss, just like disappear for a week and rewrite the entire application in Rust. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Also, don't do that. As a manager myself, I would be so upset if my team did that. Getting fired on the spot. I wouldn't actually fire my team for like doing that unless they like also deleted everything and like now we just don't have a business. But I'm not that type of boss that just like immediately fires out a warning, at least. Oh, especially since you just joined that company, you're still on probation. Oh yeah. Probation is sort of like a, hey, we're looking at you. Okay, so I've entered this data twice. Now I need to just get it out. I'm storing the data in a hash map using the type ID as the keys. That way it goes into the same vector. You already had the SecOps team on your back. Oh, well, that's going to happen no matter what. And they're always going to feel like on your back. I guess like real talk. I don't know like what level you are, how long you've been in the industry, but like my experience, if you make friends with the SecOps team, you will like just make life so much easier. You broke your laptop because it wanted to drink coffee. Well, I mean, that's your problem. Okay. I don't know what type of laptop it is. If it's Apple, they like tea. It likes tea and red wine. They're cultured. If it's like a Windows machine, just straight up hard liquor. It's a Dell laptop. Oh, I mean, in that case, you should do an experiment. But I remember I was a systems administrator for a while, and I've had my share of like, hey, my computer's not working. What happened? I don't know. Just stopped working. Open up. What's this red stain? Oh, nothing. My favorite one was the ports were filled with something, and they're like, oh, I don't know what happened. Turns out he stored his computer in the same bag that he put his bananas. Not the best idea. All right. Insert multiple data. I want to get this out, so we need to get out. So like let the components equal to data.data.get. We're gonna do component one dot type ID. This needs to be a reference. Now it's I'm gonna unwrap that. That gives us this vector of this. I pretty much only care right now that our length is 2. So I want to assert equal that components dot length is 2. And my guess is that if I run this test, it fails because left is not equal to right. There we go. As thanks, you got an upgrade. Yay! Did you get the new M1? Wait, you have a Dell. I was thinking like the new M1 chips on Mac sound really good. And Rust can compile to them from some people that have been using it that I've heard. Oh, you have an i7 CPU in it with a better display. Well, that's certainly not sending the wrong message. Oh, you don't work for Apple anymore. I never worked for Apple, but I did work for NASA, and in my team, in like my bubble, we provided Linux and Apple machines, and we refused to provide Windows machines. But the Apples, like I like them because we can control them through Unix. And they had a much better, oh, what is it? Design than the scientists were able to use it a lot easier. Australian, you are looking for keyboard information. I think you're the first person that's tried to use a command like that. So I've not done that. Here, let me show you. I'm going to, come on. So I don't make you all sick. Oh, I can't turn off my main cam. Okay, never mind. I'll just make you all sick. Unattach you. There. Here's my keyboard. I'm using a Kinesis Freestyle Pro split keyboard. Come on, back up. I have Velcro on the top of my monitor to keep the webcam steady. So we'll see whether or not I've reattached it properly or if it just falls down now. The split keyboards are dope. I like it because I was running into neck problems with like scrunching in. So this helps me like keep my posture a little bit better. Okay, so what am I doing? When we insert, look at this. We're not even checking. What I want to do is not do this. We need to do a self. There's a different way. It's like self.data. Is it entry? Gets the given keys corresponding entry in the map for in-place manipulation. That's it. We want, okay, so the counter equals or insert. Okay, so I want entry or insert. That's what it is. So I want entry. The key is going to be this. The new data type ID. Okay, so that's going to be. You take a reference? No, you don't. Okay, so new data dot type ID. And then we're gonna set you up in here for just gonna be our raw data. And then we're gonna do a or insert. Now, what do you care about? Or insert default what? Because we already have the key, so it's gonna be default whatever this is. That's gonna be our back. That's gonna have an RC new with the new data. Like that. Okay, and that gives us this mutable reference to this vector. So then now, how do I know if I've inserted it? I don't want to insert it twice. This, okay, I don't think I can do or insert this unless I'm... Okay, I'll just put an empty vector here. And then I push in. No matter what, I push in here. Okay, so we have an or insert and empty vector. Then we're gonna do raw data dot push new value. Like that. It's new data. Oh, well, fine. I'll do it properly. It's the RC new data. Okay, no errors. If we come back down and try this test again. Yes, okay, it passes. So I should be able to come back to here. Cargo run this again, and let's see what happens. Okay, here's that 50-50 instead of the 200. So we should have two things in there now. I should probably, just a thought, remove this panic. I think I do have it working. There we go. And so I have multiple birds on the screen. It's perfect. So let's say I wanted to have them move around. I would come into here. Let's create a new structure. Nice, sounds like it's time to make that convenience macro. There's so many things that I should probably do. That also gives me the chance to make you learn macros. I know, it is on the list. It is on the list. Okay, so let's do a pub struct. This is gonna be a velocity. I do have to make this a separate type, even though it's gonna look exactly the same as this. It has to be a separate type because of that type ID. This will give it a different type ID. So impl velocity. We're gonna take in the X, which is an F32, and a Y, which is an F32. Return self, X and Y. Okay, so now back to here. In our main library, we created a location and we add this in. For each of these, I actually want, let's update this to be a little bit simpler. So we're gonna do a location, new, like 50.50, 50.0, 50.0. And then I also want a new velocity. Let's have it move to the right and down. So we'll just say like 0.5, 0.5. I actually don't know how fast that's gonna be. And same thing here. Mismatch types. Expected struct components location found struct. Right. Okay. So it's wanting an impl any. And it does impl any. But I can't like have multiple types in here, unfortunately. So I would need to do this multiple times. So not quite like this. That means I probably need another builder pattern for inserting, for like creating entities, or for like spawning an entity. Oh, the drop game is not in Rust. It's still in JS. Okay, so let's do this. World dot insert entity. Okay, so this didn't work out the way I wanted it to. We'll have to update this later to make it a little bit better. All right, let's do 0.5, 0.5. So if I do something like this, that'll be fine. It technically works, but it's unintuitive. So this needs to be updated to like be better. In our system, we now need a system for updating. So pub function update locations. All right, so what do we care about here? Well, we know we need to take in the world. This now needs to be a mutable reference to the world. I don't think we need a context, and we don't need the mesh. I think this is all that we care about. And we may not even need to return a game result. But what we do need to do is query for location, but we don't have a query mute. And this is going to be a problem. We can query for the velocities, and that could be not mutable. But then we need a mutable query for the locations to update them. And we don't have that set up. So that may have to be, that's going to be coming up. So we need to query mute for locations, and not mute for the velocities. You know what I'm thinking? I'll probably be able to like go through and do a bunch of the macro type stuff after I understand more of like what I'm trying to do. Things are such in like flux of like, oh yeah, I totally screwed that up. That I need to keep on changing it. So maybe once it solidifies a little bit more and there's less changes, then I could probably do the like convert some of these things over into, maybe not convert, wrap them in macros to make it a little bit easier. But that being said, I'm gonna have to do this next time because we're coming up on 8:30, and that unfortunately is gonna be my end time. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure everything is saved here. And let's go update you. Okay, so in Flocking Rust, we have displaying the birds to the screen. I'll go ahead and push that up. And the ECS system, and I'm doing this as a separate library, so it's a complete separate deployment. What do we have? Like we can now query for components. I need to get my terminology straight for everything. And then next time, what we'll be working on, and next time is tomorrow morning, we'll be working on querying mutably. And I might also want to work on making it so like when inserting into the world, when like spawning entities, that is a lot nicer too. So we'll have to figure out like those workflows. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and do a marker for the end of the YouTube video.